What's up, everybody? 24-25 wrestling season about to kick off. Preseason's been rolling along pretty good, and I'm excited, ready to go. Been listening to a lot of the people. Again, preseason, been getting out, doing a little middle school. I did a middle school match before I did a high school match. What are the odds of that? First time ever for me. I'm not sure I've even seen that in my couple of years here. So, shows the sport's growing. A lot of good things going on. It's been a busy off season, and really looking forward to a great season this year. So let's kick right off. All right. So a couple of things. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Ben's Den, separate entity from the NHWA, the New Hampshire Wrestling Officials Association. However, I am a member of it, vice president of that board. That being said, Ben's Den own opinions, own thoughts, completely separate. Doesn't represent that particular organization, or quite honestly, any other organization. I have my own thoughts, I have my own opinions, and I care to share them. If you don't like them, that's okay. But they're mine, and so today I might cover a couple of things that tag people, make them feel a little odd about how I'm presenting something. But again, that's all right. Go through your experience, and we'll see each other on the mats, and we'll have a good time. So, uh, NHWA. Speaking of them, they/we new website out, www.nhwa.org. That is currently out and under construction. So there'll be some things that will change along the way. But right now, our applications are on there for being an apprentice, either a high school apprentice or an adult apprentice. The JAR programs for the high school. So make sure you fill out that correct application. Um, Also, some social media additions for the NHWOA coming into the 21st century here. The Facebook and Instagram accounts have been created. I will not be managing them. We have a nice resource behind the scenes that's going to handle that. And so hopefully that social media starts to find itself. If you can, like, subscribe, share, whatever it is the kids do. Facebook, Instagram, it'll help us in a couple of different ways. Visibility for apprentices, future officials, visibility for the existing officials, wrestling, the sport, what's going on. And we really hope to provide a channel to be able to provide some knowledge, right? Build a knowledge base up on the website, get some videos about some of the rules and things like that. So it's a work in progress. Be patient with us. It'll work itself out. Next part of the NHWA is the scholarship fund, the development fund that we've talked about. The Michael Peruccio fund has been kind of integrated with over the last couple of years. Constantly in touch with the Peruccio family. They like what we're doing. They're doing some work on their side to keep things moving. So very excited for the horizon. We have a development team committee now, a couple of very nice ladies that are going to help us. And we're always taking applications, so to speak, for anybody that's got some energy to help out in the community and do some things for the NHWOA. I'm always in the business with Ben's Den of trying to get some support with video editing and things like that. I think I might have a guy who's excited to do that. So hopefully that will, improve that whole experience. The NHWA, they're up to some good stuff. And, the development fund right now is mostly funded by our community. You guys, I hound you each year for some kind of donation, whether it be just a straight, what used to be a GoFundMe donation. Now we have moved again into the next phase of our organization. And so we have PayPal, which is treasurer at nhwa.org. That's for PayPal. And then we have at NHWOA underscore NH for Venmo. If you're feeling froggy, you want to send a few bucks, goes to the scholarship fund for this year to start with. That's what the community really works towards as the development fund, the parent fund starts to grow. And again, the goal here is to be self-sufficient, not have to be pinging you every year for some donations. We're not there yet. So again, if it's something that you find in the holiday spirit to send some money over to the development fund, those are some ways to do it. Any questions, feel free to contact me or Rick Ross at the NHWOA. I'd also like to mention, Ben's Den, we do, or last year I did a website where we did some merchandise and it did good. We got a good couple of grand to donate to the scholarship fund and looking to repeat it this year. So the store is open, some new gear, stickers, t-shirts, kids, ladies, men's, sweatshirts, hats, shorts, a whole bunch of things. Still trying to just try things out, work it out, see what works for us. Again, the goal here is to spread the good word, which is right now wrestling. It's wrestling season and doing so in an honorable way. And so um, that's the NHWA housekeeping. I want to kind of cap that off with a quick shout out to WL Brady. Their website is WLBradyCorp.com. They got 36 years in the business. They're owned and operated by wrestling alumni. They're big supporters of the sport, helping with coaching in their spare time when they have that spare time in HVAC. And they are, former wrestlers. They come from good ilk. And each year they've been very generous to the NHWA and providing a very generous donation to our scholarship fund. And so I just wanted to say thank you to them. The She Books, if you've been around wrestling for a while, they have been around wrestling for a while. Rob Shebook, the patriarch of that family, he took that WL Brady business and built it up over the last 36 years, and has really been, put his family in a position to hand that off to his sons. And they are Central High School wrestling alumni. They are both veterans of the United States Armed Forces. And when we call them and ask them for some support, they help us out. And so, in the interest of helping those that help us, if you got some HVAC problems, you got anything going on in that realm, check out their website. They're located in Manchester. They are good, honorable young men that have taken over for dad, who's kind of overseeing now, and they are killing it. And so, if we can support them in any way, the same way they support us, we're getting into that cold season. If something breaks down, you shout them out. And, quite honestly, to any other businesses that would like to donate, I'd be happy to shout you out too. So if it's something that, again, you find it in your heart to find some shekels to pass along to the wrestling community, I'm happy to make sure they get directed into the correct funds and make it into the hands of the intended recipients. All right. So again, thank you to WL Brady, and that's it for the NHWA housekeeping. On a higher level, the New Hampshire wrestling powers that be, the NHIA and the Coaches Association, status quo. Not much change up there. It's just kind of trudging along like a couple of mules and making things continue to go day by day. I am excited to know that Todd Austin, an assistant coach up there in Plymouth, he's joined the NHIA NHIA board wrestling committee, and that's a good fit there. Todd Austin has the vision to see what's needed to keep up with the growth of wrestling. He understands what the sport's about. He's been part of a very successful program that has operated, at the top of D3 for a long time. And I think that between him and Bumpus, if they can, get some of these old goats out of the way, and I mean that in the nicest, most respectful way, but, behind every resistance to change is somebody that's been doing it a long time. And, listen, the sport's growing. We got some things to do on the I'd say on the administrative level that would allow us to continue to grow. The numbers are here. We got some work to do. So I'm always pulling for the NHIA and the Coaches Association to be able to, make some moves and be bold. And, I'll keep my fingers crossed that happens sometime soon. Now, let's get into probably what I would say is going to be the most uncomfortable for a lot of people to hear. Not uncomfortable for me. It's a little bit of sadness if I'm being honest, and that is the behavior issues. And if I have to really pinpoint it, I went through my notes last year of Ben's Den, Pre Season Rant, the good, the bad, the ugly, and unfortunately, we're still in a lot of the position when I was speaking about the parents. Wrestlers, they're doing well, right? They're in the heat of the battle. They're focused on the task at hand. Coaches, I expect them to, I don't know, not blend the lines, I guess, but I expect them to champion their wrestler's cause, try to get a call. That's not what we're talking about here, right? And I think our officials are doing much better at getting um, better, to be quite honest. The apprentice programs come a long way at the NHWA in the last couple of years, and I think that we're gonna, over time, it takes time, right? And I think over time we're gonna see some good development from this next iteration of officials. But until then, I have to tell you that the last year has been, if you've ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire, when he's trying to tell you how, or try to tell Rod Tidwell what it's like to be his agent. And I believe the phrase is something, it's an up at 4 a.m. pride swallowing siege to get to help you. And so it's been a very difficult process this year to recruit new officials. Number one issue, parents' behavior. They just don't want to deal with it. Parents are out of control. And if you're sitting there and you're offended by that statement, you might just be part of the problem, because those that mind their P's and Q's, they agree with me. And so those that are focused on what's important about youth athletics, including high school, because they are still youth, they are not adults. The goals, right? Not the competition. The competition comes natural for these kids. They're gonna want to be better. But the goals here is to raise good human beings. And today I was in Goffstown. We're at a preseason youth event, and the two things that I witnessed, they make me ill. And as diehard as a wrestling fan as I am, it has me go, how long do I want to deal with people like this? They don't really bother me right now, but eventually it's like carrying a 2 pound weight. Beginning of the day, you're like, no problem, this is great. But a week later, if you've still been hanging on to that 2 pound weight, it's going to feel real heavy. And that's what a lot of our veteran officials are feeling, that are walking away early. They're not retiring because they can't do it anymore. They're retiring because they don't want to anymore. Number one reason, not just in New Hampshire, not just in New England, and not in the East Coast. This is nationwide, according to a lot of polls, the coaches, the National Federation, and everything. The number one reason why all sports, not just wrestling, all sports, why we are down in officials at I think it's a 35% clip. We're down officials right now. Number one reason, parent behavior. So let me give you an example of that today. So today was for all intents and purposes, a preseason tournament for the youth kids. A lot of these kids that were at the tournament, it was their first day on the mat where there was a referee there, right? And so I know from an official's point of view, we're trying to be very lenient with the locking hands. We're trying to let it go because they're learning still, right? I know it's not the rules. But when that kindergartner locks his hands for the fifth time, but he lets it go when I tell him, when there's a coach on the side, or a parent, and again, it's mostly parents who, quite honestly, most of them don't know the rules, but those parents are yelling at the referees that it's locking hands, not understanding the referees are very well equipped for their job. They understand what locking hands is. Maybe those emotional overreacting parents could take a second to think, hey, maybe these refs know what they're doing here with these kindergartners. Maybe they have years and decades of experience to understand what helps these little kids get ready for, years of wrestling. Hopefully, we all say we want these kids to go on. My goal is always to get them in high school. I think specifically for young men, that is where the magic happens. That's where the real lessons come in. And so if we were crushing them when they're a kindergartner and DQing kids as a kindergartner or first year, is that really what parents want out there? I don't think so. So I think that is a big problem, right? Why don't you just hug your kid, tell him he did a great job, and then go relax? The amount of parent coaching that goes on, shut up. Go hug your kid. You brought them to a program to let them be coached. Let them be coached. You want to talk about it later? Cool. Why don't you make the car ride enjoyable? Why don't you just tell them how proud of them you are? These kids get out there and they fight. It's a legit fight. There might not be any punching, kicking, elbows, but we've all seen the aftermath at tournaments, the bruises, the black eyes, the bloody nose, the everything. This is a rough sport. Do you think they need 40 minutes of you hammering them yet again about something else? Because you're going to go home and you're going to hammer them about the room. You're going to hammer them about school. You're going to hammer them about everything. I don't know. Let the community help you out. Why don't you sit back and just be proud of them? Let them sit with that for a little while. If you know anything about kids, kids want to be in an arena where their parents accept them. And so if every time in wrestling, it's all just batting them down and beating them up and telling them what they did wrong and all this other stuff, if that's the majority of it, especially on the very youth level, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them. And you're not going to just lose them like they're not going to wrestle. They're just not going to respect you. And here's another statement that might not be so popular, but nothing drives me nuts more than watching an overweight parent bitch at a kid who's managing his weight. The nerve, the very nerve it makes me sad for those kids because I already know what those kids are thinking. How are you going to tell me that I'm not handling my weight management properly when these kids are actually fighting the very human, like, survival instinct to eat food, right? They get very disciplined about what they eat, how much they eat, when they eat it. It's a very challenging thing. And meanwhile, not just our wrestling parents, but most of America is overweight. And so to me, it's like the old school when a chain smoker would look at you and go, "Don't smoke, son. It's bad for you." All right. Some people might learn like that, but most of us learn through, you know, watching. Imagine that. Yeah, we watch people around us and we look and we go, "I like that. I don't like that." And sometimes we pick up the things that we don't like anyway, just because we're around it. It's why parents tell them don't hang out with the wrong crowd because you know that they're influenceable. Like, these kids are working their asses off. And pardon my language, I know there's young kids out there, but this one hits home because we have sick parents. And when I mean sick, not like mentally ill, but a body that is obese is ill. You don't have to like it, but it is what it is. And I say this, I would rather deal with obesity issues than famine issues, right? Many countries in this world have famine issues. I don't want that. I think it's an amazing thing that we have the ability to eat too much food. I just think that we don't need to. And so one of the biggest things that drives our kids away from the sport is the weight management part of it, otherwise known as cutting weight, which a lot more coaches are walking away from that, but it's a process. It's an old school thought. And wherever there is competition, there's going to be cheating. And it's not cheating per se because it's within the rules, but everybody's bending those rules to hit the hydration test. How many coaches push those hydration tests back so their kids can suck down? It's a whole dirty, nasty part of our sport that I think should go. Just my 2 cents, but it doesn't matter how much regulation, legislation, whatever you want to do to try to manage it. Always people will try to get an edge. And so I expect that from competitors. Parents, do better. Coaches, and as a whole, the coaches are doing good. But today I watched the coach when the official said, "Coach, 2 1/4 and stay behind the tape." He said, "That's not in the book. I don't have to do that." That's a grown man who looks at another grown man like a toddler and says, "I know that you just kind of reminded me that I might be a little further in an emotional state where I'm trying to coach my kid. So rather than just being grateful that, hey, let me push back a little bit," he turns into a jerk. It's not the first time. He's well known for being a jerk. Anybody that knows him, they know what they're getting with him. He's part of the problem. So this year, the officials, they'll be enforcing that 2 1/4. So don't be surprised if you got officials that are going to address that this year. All right. So parents, do better. Now, also, I watched today at a preseason, and the kid was probably, I don't know, 8 years old. Him and his dad were out in the back hallway at Goffstown talking to volunteer coaches who were trying to weigh kids in about how his kid finished in a round robin tournament and how that he actually won first place because he had a pin or some madness like that. Really? That's what was important today. What lesson did your son learn today about winning the round robin at the Phil Chartier Memorial Tournament, which is, again, preseason? What's the lesson? Well, I'll tell you the lesson. He learned to go bitch and complain, not to get it right about something that mattered, to get something right about make the parent feel good. Because the kid, I'm sure he wasn't the one who drug himself over. He might have asked about it, but you could tell that kid, dude, you did your best today. Like, today doesn't matter. It's not about the medals. Like, you want a medal? You got one. Don't worry about what it says on it. Know you're doing good. You got something to show for it. And next week we get back in the gym and we're working at it. I'm proud of you. Instead, he spent 20 minutes disrupting these people's lives who are volunteering their time working with other people's children so that what? You get a medal that means nothing. These are the problems in our sport. These are the things that drive coaches away. They drive wrestlers away. They drive referees away. Parents are really the sole purpose here as to why a lot of people leave the sport, whether it be officials or wrestlers. Them's is the facts. If you don't like them, clean it up. If you got anything that you'd like to discuss, everybody knows where they can find me. I would love to debate with anybody that believes maybe I'm being overly sensitive or overly judgmental. I don't really think I am. I've thought about this pretty much all summer, and I've talked to a bunch of different people about the best way that I can present it because it is out of hand. We talk about it all the time, except when we talk about it in our own community, the same things that we see, the craziness that you see, I'm not on it, but the TikTok, all this other crazy people stuff that's happening out there, we're like, well, these people today are crazy. Why are we doing it? Why are we in our wrestling community behaving like heathens? Why can't wrestling parents specifically control themselves? When we say you can't be on the side of the mat, why does a mother with her young child swear at me? Why is that acceptable? Should there be repercussions for that? Would I be the bad guy if I just threw that lady out and she had to take her kids right out of the wrestling tournament? The problem is most of you parents say yes. And you go behind you tell, I can't believe that guy threw you out. You were just trying to be with your baby. How many videos of your kid you need wrestling? How many? Do you need to be right on the edge of the mat? Maybe get a tripod, get a better camera. You could do it from the top of the bleachers. And quite honestly, most of your parents belong at the top of the bleachers. You know how I know? I used to be down at the bottom of the bleachers with my son. You know what it was? It wasn't good. It wasn't crazy. I wasn't being out of control. It just brought an energy that maybe let him focus on wrestling. Maybe let somebody else mentor him. He's got me all the time. Maybe let another coach that's been working with him. Why don't I just trust that I got a community around him that's going to take care of him? Do better, parents. That's it. I'm gonna move on because the soapbox will just keep growing, and we just have to do it. We just have to get better as parents, all of us. How we handle ourselves in our tournaments, how our coaches behave. Get a grip, grow up, and be adults. And I digress. So that being said, I got that out of my chest. I have been carrying that around for like a good 6 months now of how I wanted to do that. And I feel better. So, like I said, if anybody's got some questions, want to kick it around, love to chat with you and get some different perspective. But we're here for the main event, which is let's talk about wrestling because that's why we really like this time of the year. It's not the snow. Christmas is fine. Hanukkah's good. Rosh Hashanah, whatever it is, that's all fine and dandy. But this is the most wonderful time of the year because this is wrestling season. And in wrestling season, we witness some amazing things. We witness triumphs, right? The ABC Sports, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, the agony of defeat is what we see the most out here. Because only one gets to the top of the podium at the end of the year for that meet of champions, for the state championship, whatever it is, that tournament. And so let's take a peek through. I'm going to go division by division here real quick, just kind of talk about each of the teams that I got some stuff on. I got 8 pages of notes. This might be a long one. Fast forward, rewind, whatever you want to do, but I'm going to get it out because I'm excited. I think there's some good races going on in each of the divisions. We had a D2 move up to D1. We got teams going for 3-peats and 2-peats and all sorts of stuff. So let's jump in. I'm going to go right to D1, but before I do, a little Perrier water break. All right. So I think I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't talk about the reigning, defending champions, and it's a 3-peat champion, right? We got Salem. They're looking for that 3-peat of the Triple Crown, and they got the tools to do it. Coach Eddie's up to some good stuff over there. Got a great staff. Saw them out there on the youth circuit today working. I said it last year. I think it's even truer this year. The challenge here for the Blue Devils is staying hungry. Can Coach Eddie, stay in a place of famine and constantly working to architect the best team possible? Yes. Well, familiar names returning for their senior year: Evan Lynch, Dominic Murphy, Spencer Buscema, Caleb O'Rourke, just a few of the Blue Devils that are primed for race 3. When you hear those names, Lynch, Murphy, Buscema, O'Rourke, that's a tough little lineup right there, whether you're talking duels and even in the tournaments. And so Salem's back. They're going to be working to get some things done. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out of the gate here in December. And like Belichick said, we'll talk about it in February. Another powerhouse, D1, Timberlane. They continue to build under Coach Brown. They've added events. I did an event yesterday, a preseason event, first time for them. Little Timberlane showcase. Had a bunch of teams down there, great matches, very laid back. Keeps them at home, right? They're raising money for the program. Coach Brown, always on the job like that, making sure that his program is going to have the tools. Some of that's money, some of that's coaches, all that. Making sure that Timberlane continues to build back to the greatness that they would like to be at. Listen, they got a stacked schedule already. They change a few things up. They keep going, bang. They're a young team, lots of talent. Talent OJ, extremely fun to watch. Unless you're his coach, he can give you a little bit of a heart attack. Cathartic response, I believe. Ben Mann, he returns to action as a senior. Nasty last year, right? Coming in, I believe he's going to be at the 113 slot. Timbo's going to be ready to rock, so don't sleep on the Owls out there in Plastow. And after a dump of 12 seniors here, no schleps and Tom LaCroix, Evan Landry, of a couple of those seniors. Pinkerton's looking pretty stocked this season with Lance Bordelot at the helm. And I'm not a social media guy. In the offseason, I stay away from it, but I get reports. And the reports that I've received about what young Lance Bordelot is, you boys in New Hampshire better watch out because he's been out there killing it. There is some downside. It seems that, and again, unless something changes along the way, but last year they had a very powerful 1-2 punch in Bordelot and Camden Arbogast. Bordelot's going to have to find another partner, as Camden Arbogast has apparently retired from wrestling to focus on work. And guess what? That's okay. That is okay. Camden's been wrestling a long time. He took this off season. He got to work. He's been working with his dad. He's been making some cash. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a hard worker. You saw it on the mats. You saw it in the practice room. If you talk to his coaches along the way, that boy likes to work. And now he's going to go out and he's going to work and do the family business, right? Dad's into building, does great work, and he's been working with his son all summer. Well, guess what? They're going to continue that. And I've already heard that, he this and he was that. Man, this kid is a young man. Shut up. Let him go live his life. These kids, there's no working hard today. The kid wants to go to work. He's quitting this. No, Camden's been wrestling a long time. Decided to do something else. It's another hobby, right? Wrestling is a hobby. Whether it's a passion or not, it's a hobby. He decided, hey, you know what? I'm good with this hobby. This hobby that's really hard. Really hard. I love to lift weights. I want to get big. I got a diet, right? I can't make any money because wrestling's a 7-a-week day job when you're trying to be at his level, right? So I will miss watching him wrestle selfishly because he's a tough kid. I'm sure Coach Rhodes is going to miss having him. It's been a journey with Camden, right? He came in full of piss and vinegar as a freshman, and he started to settle in, and he started to find his way last year. And I'll miss him. It's a tough kid. I think he was a good role model in a lot of ways for kids on his work ethic. But Pinkerton will move on, and Bordelot will lead the way. And so Bordelot, busy man in the offseason, 126 matches in the offseason. He did personals at Doughboy. He's worked at Smitty's. If you wrestle live with Matt Smith, you're doing something right because he's going to put it on you. He went down, wrestled Shut PA, New Jersey, Ohio. He's been all over the place, and I'll tell you, enjoy him this year. He's just a little bitty junior right now, right? And with a lot of these kids that are talented like Lance, you might lose him to a prep school. He might end up someplace else where there's other opportunities. And again, selfishly, I'll miss him. There's been many kids that went to private schools that crushed me. Like I really wanted to watch them wrestle in high school, but it was good for their life. And so I wish them well, and I keep up with them as I can. So enjoy Lance. Pinkerton's going to be tough this year. Make no mistake about it. Deep lineup. They've been putting in some good work, building up the underclassmen, and I think Coach Rhodes is going to be making a run this year. So keep an eye on him at the top of the scoreboard here. And again, injuries and all that other stuff comes along, but I think Pinkerton's going to be primed to make some moves. All right. That brings us up to the capital city where we got Concord reloading with some talent after the departures of people like Griffin Norwald, Levi Madison, Trayvon Lang, some other stud seniors. And here's the thing. So Trayvon Lang, Cullen Burt, Sawyer McCready, Maximus Chunk, they're the next generation, right? And Concord, they do that very well, right? The brotherhood that they talk about up there in Concord. They reload really well, right? Everybody knows Coach Manel. He's in the twilight of his career. He's probably got a couple more left. I'd say probably two, but I'm not in the inside circle in Concord anyway. But he's making his moves to head on out, and so I think that being the competitor that he is, Coach Manel's going to make a run for it one last time. Get a couple of state champs and try to pull a team title. And so they're working hard. I was in Concord this past Thursday. Kids are all fired up. The underclassmen that are now the upperclassmen are stepping into their roles and leading the way. And so the Tide will always be in competition with the top of the echelon, and they'll be fun to watch this year. And so, you got Junior Jackson Carter, Wayne Gutierrez, Sakakini, killing it. They'll no doubt be searching for the top of the podium all season long, and they are going to want to be at the top of the podium at the most important time of the season, and that's right there at the Division One and the Meet of Champions. So good luck to Concord and their staff, and then we head down south back to Bedford, and you want to talk about a dump of some major talent. Well, you had it there in Bedford, right? You had Ben, you had McConnell, you had Kennedy. They're all in college doing their thing, which now leaves seniors like Calvin Bradley and Sam Cowett to stand up and lead the way for the Bulldogs. That's a big talent dump. But Coach Sheeting over there, Coach Louie, they're going to put their work in and they're going to get the team that they have to be ready. Now, they have the support of fast rising sophomore Gavin McConnell, right? That kid, I'll tell you stories about him when he's older and past all this. But Gavin McConnell is going to have to step up and be that leader, even as a sophomore. And he's got the right demeanor for it. He's very calm. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. He does his job. And if you've ever met his family, specifically his dad, that's what it is. We don't get too high. We don't get too low. We do what we're supposed to do. We do the job. And so McConnell's going to be out there. He's going to have an eager squad of returning sophomores. And Coach Charlie Canay down there on the Lurgio team, he's pumping them back up. He's doing his work at MPAL to make a feeder program for whoever wants to be fed. And so we'll be watching them kind of do their thing this year. I'd say it's going to be tough for Bedford to really make a run, but I think they'll have a respectable season. Londonderry. Oh, man. One more year, Pento. That's David Pento Jr. That's one more year we got with him. Like Bordalo, he's been putting in the work all around and looking big and healthy right now. So this kid is, I tell you, he's one of the kids. Just like Lance, they're good kids on and off the mat, competitors through and through, going after it as hard as they can. Good kids, right? You got young kids that want to be wrestlers. Have them talk to these kids. They are amazing ambassadors for this. And Junior is him and Bordello, but I'm speaking Pento right here. And Junior, just been watching them for better part of a decade now. And every year, yeah, he gets better on the mat, but he gets better as a teammate. I talked to some of his coaches. He gets better as a leader. And I'm really excited. There was never in my mind that we were at risk of not being able to watch him, but he's here. He's going to finish that senior year. And I surmise that he will probably have a good year. And I know he's got some lofty goals, and I hope he hits them along the way and everything like that, like I do for everybody else. But that kid's going to go on and he's going to do some good things in life. Again, comes from some good ilk. It's all a journey for all of us, and he's been on one. And, I know his parents are going to really be taking it in this year. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of emotions about, that final year of their baby kind of making his way out of the nest. And so, as I said with Lance, please enjoy David Pento Jr. He is a fabulous young man who represents the sport well, wrestles tough, deserves every victory that he earns. And he'll put on a good show here in New Hampshire, and he will definitely go down to New England's and represent us well. So, that being said, um, you know, we got some help on the horizon for him. We got seniors Nicky Stalianos, Manny Perez, right? We got some chutzpah here. We got some gas in the tank for the Lancers, and so um, I'm sure Coach Kukulo's over there gonna get it done. Mark Williams, what an amazing man there too. The work he does for the high school program, but also the sport of wrestling in New Hampshire as a whole. If you don't know who he does a buttload of work behind the scenes to make the sport better for our New Hampshire wrestlers, expects nothing in return, wants no glory, and simply just is in service to his community. And if you know anything about me, that's my kind of guy. So good luck to Londonderry too. All right, Manchester. We're going to talk West, Memorial, and Central. And unfortunately, Manchester as a whole, all three programs, they're hurting right now. Though there's some good things going on over at West. I like the vibe over there. They yet West as a whole, they've yet to fully recover from the Bedford kids heading to their own high school, right? Bedford, for those who don't know, used to go to school at West High School. West was a very good school, and there's just been that transition. You pull out, a big portion of your talent pool, it's going to have some impact. But West is doing some good things, specifically in wrestling. They're getting a presence on social media, which is good. It's an advertising thing, right? You start to put out the journeys of these kids, and so I like what West is doing over there. Memorial lost Patrick Vachon. He was kind of the leader last year. And this year, that torch gets handed to the big man, Jaden Coulion, right? He represented very well last year. And from what I hear, has been putting in the work in the offseason. And I think that he'll very comfortably get into that leadership role. Memorial's challenge is always their numbers. It's a small squad. You got to get some numbers up, right? And if you want to sharpen iron, you got to get some iron in the room. And so they're going to keep plugging away. Craig's doing some good work over there, trying to keep that program afloat while it kind of continues to recover. And I think Central is continuing to hang on through the struggle. The numbers are down, and the program would do well with an influx of talent and energy. Again, when Coach Cummings died a few years back, I think that Central still kind of reeling through that. The struggles of the inner city school, right? Not a lot of parental support in our inner city schools oftentimes. And if you think I'm just making that up, go talk to our coaches in those areas. It is what it is. And so Centrals continue to help out, right? And I mentioned W.L. Brady earlier and then the boys over there, they try to make their way over and help that program and help those kids. And as I also mentioned earlier, it is programs like Central, West, you see it in Concord, some of these city schools where these kids, the only attention they get is at a wrestling practice, right? The only positive attention they might get is through their coaches and their teammates, and they go home to travesties of lives. That's not good, right? But we can't control all that. But what we can do is be good people for those, right? And so Central continues to be good people for their community. The coaches over there, they understand what's important for the kids that are there. And right now, it's not state championships. You get that foundation set up a little stronger, and I have no doubt that they could put something together and head that way. It's a tall mountain to climb for every program, no matter the challenges. So good luck to our Manchester teams. I still wouldn't be opposed to Umbrella and everybody together, co-opt them together, and have one good team from Manchester. So let's move over to Keene. We'll go to the west side of the state. They are under some new leadership after Coach Runez, who was the head coach. He stepped down for professional reasons, and that leaves Bill Gillard, who coached the team some 10, 12 years back, I believe. He's got some big shoes to fill because Coach Runez, he was top notch. The Blackbirds, they were heading in the right direction, but I'm confident Gillard, and that name might sound familiar. I think they'll go in a good direction. You got Coach Crump on the middle school level and all his staff doing some great work to push up into the program on the high school level. And the Blackbirds, they're heading in the right direction. And speaking of Gillards, Jack Gillard, he'll be a junior this year. And following seniors, Carter Trubiano, Peyton Gowell, and to my surprise, Evan Ray. Those seniors will all be back. And I got to tell you, I thought so. Evan Ray was a senior last year. Um, I guess it could be because he's a big dude, right? Big, tall. Like, he don't look like he didn't look like a junior last year, but he's there. And I'm also happy to know that I will be hearing the sweet serenade of Mrs. Ray's horn. Oh, yeah, baby. Evan won. All right. She's like our own personal flow wrestling for him. So good luck to Keen. Change is tough, but you're in good hands all around. So Keen community running strong right now. Wyndham, big dump, lost 11 seniors. If all coming back, you got 7 juniors, 10 sophomores, 5 freshmen returning. Jaguars, they're in good shape. Never a team to overlook. Wyndham, they've struggled, right? They come to D1 now. They went to D3, killed it up there, went to D2, started smashing it there, and then boom, up to D1. And Coach Corbin Decker and assistant coach Riley Millette, they're constantly improving their lot in the division. And they don't just jump back so they can go win championships. They put their head down and they grind and they're trying to climb in the division where they belong in. And so kudos to you men for presenting a challenge to your team and making it be something that matters, right? Because if I beat my grandson in basketball, should I, call the press? I don't think so. All right, let's talk. We talked Manchester. We grouped them together. We're going to do a little bit of the same in Nashville, right? So these city teams, again, North and South, they continue to hover around decent, and both could use a spark to get the next level. Um, you know, after South lost Robert Perez, I got to tell you, I liked watching him wrestle. He was fun. His family's fun. Big toughies out there. I love it. All of them. They wrestle hard, but he's gone. So now South is going to be led by Benny Blanco, aka Benjamin Bryan. He's only a sophomore, but the fact is he's been busy in the offseason, putting in a lot of work. He wants to climb to the top of podiums, no matter his tournament, including the big ones. And so as he continues to mature as a young man and as a wrestler, it just makes sense that he's got to find his way into that leadership role. And I don't know. I don't know if Adam Langlois is still coaching out there. I believe he is. But that program struggles, and I think a lot of that has to do with their AD not really supporting them out there. One coach cannot do everything, and you need an AD that's going to back you up. And if you look at the successful programs, they have ADs and they have communities behind them that set them up. And Coach Langlois, busy guy, right? He's got young kids. He's a fireman. He's also coaching, but he's been putting in the work. And so Benny Blanco, man, you got some work to do. Build those numbers up, and the Purple Panthers, they'll come down Panther Drive and they'll battle anybody. I'm sure of it. If we go to North lost 8 seniors. They look to stay afloat with a strong sophomore and junior class. They're kind of flying under the radar the last couple of years. I'd like to see them pop up, man. I'd like to see these city teams start representing, man. We got all the talent, the numbers, and all that. It's just a recruitment thing. You got to make people people got to want to work with you, right? They got to want to wrestle for you. You already have the ones that want to wrestle. Well, enroll people in wanting to be around you and being better people through wrestling. And those programs will hop up. So Exeter, boom, out there heading towards the coast. They lost 3 seniors. They come in with a strong 24-25 senior class, including Anders Arbogast, Will McCroy, and Caleb Sturdivant, assuming everybody returns. And they look to lead the Blue Hawks to the promised land come February. Word on the street is a bunch of Exeter wrestlers have been putting in the work in the offseason, and they're ready for prime time. Program's been up. Steady growth the last couple of years, coaching staff solid, and I really like what I see out of there. And I think that Exeter is going to continue to make some noise, and we're going to start to see those individuals that pop up. They're going to come together as a team. That team score is going to rise there towards the end of the year. So Exeter is going to be fun. I do want to wish the young man who was in Timberlane yesterday had a pretty bad ankle injury, possibly broken, and it happens. It's that sport, and I'm not sure of his name, but he handled it like a champ. They let him set it. They got him out, went to the hospital. I hope you're okay, my man, and heal up well. And your job is to cheer your team on now. All right. That's D1. Again, I don't have everything for everybody. I just wanted to swing through and touch on them real quick. I'm not trying to make this a 4-hour episode. I'm actually trying to speed it up for you right now before you get distracted. So, one more swig of that Perrier. I don't know if you know this, but Perrier in Nashua means tap water. So, all right. D2, Goffstown. Woo-hoo! 13 seniors gone. And it was their leadership and their point generators, and a few of them. And you had Reeves, Demers, excuse me, and Hodgson, right? Hodgson name remains as we have Avery Hodgson, up freshman, the sister of Lucas Hodgson. She's up there on the high school team this year and getting used to 5 day a week practices. They look young on paper, but the Grizzlies, they have some stud underclassmen that's going to have to fill the gap, including Gabe Osborne, Ben Walton, who's been grinding in the offseason away with Lance Bordelot, and is also Ben Walton, a member of the JAR program for the NHWA. And he was on the mats today in stripes. And yeah, man, it's his only day off. He had to go for a run later for weight management on it, but the kid showed up and he showed up good. And everything I hear about him, and again, when I say good things about these teenage boys, I understand they're teenage boys and they're going to make mistakes and act dopey and do stupid stuff. But these ones, they do it less. That's all we can ask for until we figure out how to do it. And so, got a chance to talk to Osborne today as well. He was over there supporting his team in the fundraiser at the Chartier event. And, they're excited to get after it. I saw one Sullivan Conley there with a fresh new haircut, looking ready for prime time and aerodynamic. So Goffstown, they're going to look to, repeat last year's performance. But when you graduate 13 seniors, that's a tall hill to climb. I have no doubt Coach Everett and Paraskevas can get that done. And with all the extra power now on the team with the kids that have arrived, congratulations, by the way, Goffstown's in the house, right? So they're going to come out and try to defend their D2 title. And I found this out after, but I thought Spalding was going to continue to thrive and it would be a great match. Guess what? Spalding is now Division One. Yes. So they continue to thrive under their great coach, Scott Couture. Couture. I don't know. I say Randy Couture, but then I saw a video and he said Couture. I wasn't if that was something for his team. But Scott is the right guy for that job in that area with those kids. And he has the duty of keeping one senior, Sawyer Goodwin, caged until it's go time, until it's time to get on the mat. And he's got to do that for 3 months. And if he can do that, then he gets a trophy. Because Sawyer Goodwin, who I got to see this weekend, he's an animal. And like all animals, if they are not domesticated and they are wild, aka wrestlers, we need to make sure that energy goes on the mat. And Sawyer Goodwin, this is his last year to keep that on the mat. He's very competitive. He's going to be wrestling heavy in the beginning. He'll make his way down like a lot of kids. And it's going to be real fun to watch that kid battle. From the time I met him when he was a real young man, there was something about him where he just didn't care, man. He just wanted to battle you. And so if you see Goodwin's name in your bracket, be ready for battle. Now, we also have Noah Jackson, Colin Jakes, Jaden Deal, and Colin Jakes is going to be a strong senior class leader, no doubt. Flew under the radar a little bit last year. I think a tsunami-like wave is coming for those seniors. I really think Spalding, the work is starting to show, right? It's that couple of years work where you're putting in, you're paying your dues. But I think this year is going to be one of those years where Spalding, they're going to see, maybe not a team title here in D1 as they step up into that realm, but they got some individual talent that if you put that all together at the right time, well, what I just said could be a complete lie. So, Coach Gucci Couture, whatever. Keep up the great work, man. You got some good kids out there. You got a good community behind you, and the progress has been really, really evident the last couple of years. So it's going to be fun to watch you make that transition and into that bigger pond and see how you guys do. And so let's talk bigger pond, right? Portsmouth. They are not a bigger pond. Unfortunately, they lost a big fish out of their small pond in Elijah Josie. All right. He was the star 195 pounder last year. He's moved on to private school and he leaves it in the very capable hands of junior Carter Kuhn, who, again, Coach Austin from Plymouth said it the best. Put that kid with any wrestler and they look like a couple of squirrels in a sock. And so Carter Kuhn, AJ Nilly, they're going to consistently be putting some points on the board for the Clippers, lead by example. And they're going to have to really get those underclassmen developed. And so Coach Whistler, and I believe we still have Coach Josie, excuse me, for one more year. So Portsmouth, always fun to have in the house. You know, if you're getting in a match with them, those kids are going to battle it out. And so I look forward to the Whistler winter hat, the beautiful array of ties, especially the Christmas ones. And just watch Portsmouth continue to develop. It's been a good couple of years for them. They're heading in the right direction. And so let's move on to a little closer to home for me, but Alvord. They lost 4 seniors, including Captain Morgan Gora, who's now wrestling in college. Good for her. Alvord, light on seniors, only 5, including Shane Mackey and Cam Steed. And the Broncos are very junior heavy. So, what are we going to do with them? We're just going to watch them. I don't know why. I know Alvern's in Hudson. Hudson's, southern New Hampshire, but I feel like Alvern ends up with those country boys, those big boys in Alvern. They always seem to be really strong, really tough. So we're going to watch them battle it out this year. Mackey and Steve, they're going to be fun to watch, and we'll see what other talent they bring along to the game. We'll go from there. All right, back to the coast, Winnacunnet. They lost a little bit of pizzazz with the departure of one Satori Swanson, who was always down for a good scrap. Small squad last year. They were also young, so with the right amount of work, they have time to build up for the future. Again, you get to that smaller market school, talent pool is smaller, splits between the different sports. Really takes some effort to grow that up, and success makes other people want to come do things. So to all these programs that are trying to build, the more success you have, easier it is to build. And I think somebody that knows that better than anybody is Hollis Brookline's Coach Bumpus, right? So got rid of exactly 1 senior. By no stretch and off year last season, Coach Bumpus always pushing the Cavaliers to the championship or bust, and he'll be doing the same this year. Obvious leader of the team right now from a wrestling point of view, Caden Bruseo. He returns for his senior campaign as a man on a mission after a disappointing end at the MOC last year. Clear favorite wherever he lands weight-wise. And again, enjoy this kind of talent while it's here. He's a senior, and most importantly, he's another one of those young men, regardless of what he does. If he never won a match on the mat, you still want your young man to be around him because he's a good human being, cares about the young kids, he mentors them, keeps his buddies in check. Again, no teenager's perfect, but this kid, he's a good one to have, and he's a good leader for Bumpus to have over there at Brookline. All right, so you got Gavin Turcott, transfer from Pelham, and a slew of talented underclassmen. Got some things going on over there at Hollis Brookline, and we might see some interesting battles there in D2 this year. I think that there's some strength, and when I think about that, I think about Milford, right? The growth and the development of Mindset Wrestling, which is a club out there in Milford. It services Milford and the surrounding areas. If you haven't been, check them out. They're doing great work. But I'm excited. I think we're going to watch a performance jump by teams like Milford and Souhegan that are really benefiting from that Mindset club in the offseason. And the coaches at Milford may seem familiar. Coach Foucher back at it again, Mindset and Milford. And so building that pipeline and that synergy and all that's what's required to continue to raise programs up to the top. And so I think Milford is one of those programs that, the Voucher clan, led by Joe, they deserve the kudos for the work being done, the results seen this far. They're kind of rising from the ashes of recreation. They were a down program for a bit, and I think they're soon going to be a force to be reckoned with. And after only losing 2 seniors, right? You had the Peruccio scholarship winner, Evan O'Connell. He split and moved on to be smart guy. And one of my favorite scrappers ever, Kyle LaJoy. Without those two guys, you got a sophomore heavy squad. They're going to need to rise up like the Phoenix and really lead the way. So good luck to Milford. I'm going to be excited and to borrow from the Field of Dreams. Coach Foucher, if you build it, they will come. And I think that's where you're at right now. So congratulations. Keep up the hard work. And we'll move kind of across the state a little bit from Milford. We'll head back to Nashville. We'll go to BG. The Thing, as I like to call him, Will Murphy. He's gone, and he was the anchor of the team last year. He was a rock star in a couple of years, right? He's just solid, tough, hard worker, and that's good, regardless of his wins, which he got a bunch of. The leadership reins that he handled, He wrote them well. You have that in the practice room. You got somebody's working their butt off, tends to bring some other people, right? So with his departure and also the departure of sophomore, now junior, Jack Kaler, who's going to lead the Cardinals back to prominence? That's the question. And I'm going to say something. It's not that it's so. For those of you that don't know, Coach Russo was my JV coach in high school, and he was a tough one, and he was a good one. And so he's the head coach right now. You still got Coach Roulette, and I think as a whole, again, this is what I make of it. Doesn't make it true, but program's been stalled a bit. When you got a quality kid leaving the program, like Bishop Girton academically, no problems, right? And we have a kid that leaves that program who's a very good wrestler, and he goes back home, right? It's not just the BG thing, but I guess I'm underwhelmed. I would love to see BG be a force to be reckoned with here. Quite honestly, we hear a lot about Central Catholic down in Mass, and you know, they don't always follow the rules, has been proven down there. I get that, but one thing that they can do and that they're allowed to do, and that BG is allowed to do, is it doesn't matter where you live. You could have kids from any place in the state showing up at BG. And I'm not saying go recruit. I'm saying build a program where even though you have people that want to be good students and go to a college prep school and all that, well, some of those kids want to go to college and wrestle. And so I think that there's more to life than spinning doubles and spladles and headlocks. And I think those are good, right? There's a place for them. But I think there's some work that could be done over at BG. It's not that they don't have good kids and they're not winning and doing things. I just think that like anything that I look at, I go, well, how can I be better? Otherwise, what are we doing here? Like, well, that's good enough. All right. But I'd like to see the Cardinals rise back up. I think Coach Russo is the right man to, you know, be in charge as far as from the perspective of like he gets it, man. He understands like you got kids there that they leave for Christmas, right? They go on ski trips, right? And all this other stuff. I know there's some challenges there, but he remembers what's important. The kids matter the most here. He's tough, he's competitive, but he also remembers, as he's gotten older, as we all do, he understands these kids are going to go on to live a hopefully a good life and they're going to do a bunch of cool things, but it's wrestling, And so with that, like maybe get a couple of under coaches that are willing to build it. Right now, it's the same team, right? It's been Coach Russo and Coach Roulette, Kurt Roulette, and Chris Roulette comes help out. There's always been some people that help out, but I think a new perspective is needed. And I might be wrong, but if anybody wants to chat about it, you know where to find me. And again, I love Coach Russo. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. I'm assessing a situation where I'm like, you know what? I think that BG could be a team that could really soar. I mean, I think, yeah, all right. So if you can get people from out of state, in state, like you should be up in D1 competing for team titles in a lot of different sports, right? Bishop Guard lacrosse is crazy. Well, why? Well, look into it. You'll figure out. All right, moving on. So let's talk Merrimack. So they dumped 7 seniors, quality ones at that, right? You had Emily Angelo, you had Grant Deshanu, Mitchell Krupp, you had Curley. They were jammed with freshmen last year. No, they're primed for growth and maturity this year with hopefully a bunch of sophomores returning. Who's going to stand out? Who's going to shine for the Tomahawks? Unsure, but saw them yesterday at Timberlane. And listen, as always, they got some scrappers. The kids are having some fun and learning the sport. So they'll keep cranking it away. And Coach Dine will do his thing and keep cranking away. And just, again, man, this sport is up and down in all sorts of ways. 4-year cycles, right? You could have a monster team if you're not recruiting. Whatever it is, Merrimack's in the hunt. They're going to be the D2 dark horse here. All right, D3. Let's get to it. D3 has done some amazing things the last couple of years as far as growing their numbers, adding teams, filling the teams up. Big complaint last year was the double duels, not leaving enough time for our JVs to have enough matches. It's a good problem to have. So start with the defending champs. Big senior talent dump. That's a common theme, right? And out of all the teams, it may be the Falcons who struggle the most to fill that vacuum, right? Small team. You had Mora, Dolder, Funches, Labonte, two McDowells. They all left. Now you're left with Jackson Hall, Maddox Leclerc, Jacob Tuna, and they're going to need to show the underclassmen the way. And they want to repeat, right? But they got a few years under Coach Chavanel now. As I coached Coach Chavanel when I saw him on Thursday in Concord while he was working his team, this is where he starts to earn his money, right? When we have that cycle where you gotta, it just works out. Look, man, bang, 8 seniors, 10 seniors, 12 seniors, whatever it is that your team has go. That's when you earn your keep. You got to go recruit and fill that vacuum right back up. And I think Coach Chavanel, along with the many assistants he's got up there, great community. I don't think we're going to see any fall from grace, I guess is safe to say, and they'll be in contention here. And they'll be in contention against a team that I think that, they continue to build their program under Coach Garrett Tromby. And after losing 2 Browns, a Maddie and a Logan, and a Knuckles and Christian Bobby Knuckles, a coach may worry that Sauhegan, well, one, how do you replace the 3 that we talk about, right? Well, you have a former BG wrestler and Caleb return home to Sauhegan as a junior. It's a good fit, right? The team is in good hands with Kaler in the place, right? Now, Kaler, he's going to make an immediate impact in the quality of the room because he works hard. And so he's gonna have that happen. And Sauhegan, not that there's a problem of the quality in the room, but when you lose some hard workers like the Browns, like a Christian Knuckles, you want to replace that with a kid like Kaler. So I'm very excited for Sauhegan in a bunch of different ways, right? So you got Hammer Isabel Brandt, got to chat with her. She's fired up, ready to rock, already talking about who am I wrestling in college. She returns for her senior year. Large sophomore class. Got, what is it? The return of the Mac. I don't. You got Chase, and the name, right? Baby Knuckles, but Baby Knuckles don't get pushed into the corner, right? And so now he's gonna look to kind of tweak this, that, the other thing. He's just like his brother. He's gonna keep coming at you, and he's gonna keep pressing. He's gonna keep wanting to win. And so I haven't gotten to see him yet. Wonder if he thickened up a little bit, but make no mistake about it, Baby Knuckles is gonna make us proud. And when I say us, New Hampshire wrestling proud. Good kid. That's number 1 for me. I don't care about your wrestling talent, but he's a good kid. And on top of that, hard worker, talented wrestler. And you're going to see him in the mix come the end of the year. So Sauhegan, again, got some good leadership there, right? You got Brandt, you got Knuckles, you got Import, but actually he's coming home. Kaler, good coaches up there doing their thing. Sauhegan, dare I say maybe favorites? No, don't say that. I don't know because we don't know the roster. But I know this. Coach Trump is going to have them absolutely ready to be in the heat of battle and at least put themselves in a position to contend for it. So good luck to Sauhegan. I also heard that this year at Sauhegan, they have a light. So good things, creating the environment, creating the show. It's a spectator sport and it's one of the harder ones to fill. So any little thing we can do, make it a performance. I love that. So good job to Sauhegan and looking forward to them. Plymouth, they're in some huge trouble after the dump that they had after last year. 1 senior. 1. That's it. Just 1. And they look to return a championship, form under coaches Cleary and Austin. That's the bar up there in Plymouth, right? And so you got stud senior Emmett Nosserman. He's looking to break the bank this year. Been busy in the offseason. You got Haley Demers. She's looking to crush it. Again, she is part of the NHWA JAR program. And say what you want about the program and the reffing part. One benefit of being in that program is these wrestlers, they learn the sport better. They learn the rules better. They learn strategy better. They learn a whole bunch of stuff because they're surrounded by all of the information that experienced refs are giving them. And so, boop, they take that in. It's just a different way to study wrestling. And so Haley Demers, who worked on the mats today in stripes, did a great job. She's going to do a great job on the mat. She's going to do that along with Luke Diamond, Eli Crane, and a slew of others because Plymouth, They look to reclaim their spot at the top of D3. And one thing about Plymouth, when they roll deep. John Stark. Woohoo! Coach Feudner, one of my faves. Another program with a big dump, 7 of them to be exact. And not 7 fish we're talking about. We're talking leadership, we're talking point scorers, and we're talking the horsepower of the lineup, including Steven Johnson, Braden Menard, and Thanos himself, Lucas Belanger. They're all gone. So Coach Feudner and staff, they've been steady stocking the pond, knowing this day was going to arrive. And though they're young, the likes of Lincoln Jablonski, Caleb Hopman, Alex Dakota, find the hole, get the generals into the connection, all of it. John Starks, good shape, right? A little bit of a reload going. Talked to Coach Feudner as well. He is aware that he's got his work cut out for him, that there is some inexperience and some immaturity on the team, just, age-wise. And guess what? He's going to do exactly what he's been doing for the last couple of years. He's going to bring the John Stark team into any gym, head held high on the way in and on the way out, and they're going to work hard while they're there. So it's going to be good to see where they end up coming through. Again, you dump 7, where do we end up? Let's talk about the Warriors of the North, and that includes Lebanon, Muskoma, and the White Mountains, and they lost 4, 6, and 1 senior respectively, right? So Lebanon, pretty good dump at 4, 6 for Muskoma, and 1 for the White Mountains, where now Lebanon is under new coach Lucas McKittrick, who has some talent to work with after a good stint by Coach Chauncey Wood, who dedicated his time to building the program. And I just want to take a second to acknowledge Coach Wood, because I'm always grateful for men like him, because he's willing to be tired. He puts his family second a few times during the year to make sure that these kids have what they need. And he's got an amazing wife behind him who knows sometimes that's what it takes to get the community where it needs to be. And so sad to see that he won't be the head coach anymore, but I make no mistake about it. Coach Wood will be present around us and involved in some way. Because one thing I've learned about that man is he gives a damn. And the more of those people that we have in our community and in our world, the better. And so good luck to Coach McKittrick. You got some shoes to fill there, my man. Now, Muskoma, the huge, looking solid and big. And one of the things I enjoy most about Muskoma is I get to watch them wrestle. They're country strong. You see, even like this little skinny kid, all of a sudden he's just strong. I don't know what it is. I don't know, something in the water. Not everybody's baling hay right up there. I mean, it's Muskoma. You know what it is? They're well coached. They work hard, and they also understand what the benefits of the program are, right? Champions, all that stuff. That's good stuff. But those coaches, they're focused on making good human beings and making sure these kids have an enjoyable experience through their high school career. Because on the other side of this, man, life's going to smack you in the face. And that's okay. That's cool. You just need the tools to be able to get there and to push through it. And Muskoma's in good hands with their leadership. And they're just good kids. I got to see them on Friday at Winnisquam. They dueled against Winnisquam, and John Stark was there as well. And again, just good kids, very respectful. They look like they're enjoying themselves, having fun, and I really do enjoy being at their events when they're there. And I also have to tell you that Coach Corrigan over there with the Spartans of the White Mountains, mounted up and ready for the winter battles, no doubt about it. And it's always fun for me, again, I'm down at the bottom of the state, right? And it's always fun for me when these small programs, they just pop out these amazing little wrestlers, boom, bang, boom, and they just show up, and then, they might disappear off the radar for a bit because that's, small town. That talent pool, it takes a while to stock the pool, but Coach Corrigan's got it going in the right direction. I think his attitude is amazing, how he handles the kids, and they're also very respectful. And you see that Lebanon, Muskoma, White Mountains, that competition, but they're still all community. And I think our Warriors in the North do a great job of emulating what some of our Southern teams could do in working together to make sure that everybody's building and that there's good competition. Like win, lose, or draw, better when we have good competition. And so to the north, I say job well done up there and keep up the good work. And I know I'm in Lebanon for their tournament this year, so I'll be up there around the Christmas time space, and so I'm looking forward to it. And maybe I can get Rick Ross to give me the okay to maybe wear a Santa hat while I ref. He's probably already shaking his no, writing a comment about insulting me at some point, but that's how I know he likes me. All right, so let's talk. Let's come back down to the southern part of the state, and we talk about the Pelham squad, and they ride along with Coach Rittinger, without the likes of Michael Harrington or Nathan Maslanik, who led the team last year and have moved on. But never fear, we have one more Maslanik here. That's Ben Maslanik. He's stepping into his sophomore season, and he's already primed to be the leader of the team, along with seniors Liz Donovan, Caitlin Zanoni. And after a tremendous season on the gridiron, Maslanik and crew, they look to improve upon last season's run. They very much remind me of the older Patriots teams, right? They're not worried about November or December, but right around January, Coach Rittinger, he's got those guys ready to rock, and they just start banking up the wins as the season comes to a close. And then come tournament time, you better be ready if you got a Pelham kid in your bracket, because Coach Rittinger will make sure they're ready for you. And so it's going to be fun to watch a young Ben Maslanik again as a sophomore. You would say, well, why is he the leader? Well, I will say this: very mature. He's a quiet kid in a lot of ways, and not uber quiet, but reserved. Doesn't need to hear himself talk. But he really exemplifies leadership by example, right? The way he works, the way he carries himself, and setting goals. I'm very friendly with his parents. If you've been around for a while, you've watched his oldest brothers, Connor and Nathan. They're both attending Campbell University right now. Connor's still wrestling. Nathan is enjoying the college life and having a Christmas with no weight cut. And so what that's really done is develop Ben into a leader, right? He was the baby of the family, which I can relate to, and we get beat on the most, we get picked on the most, and we become the toughest, and that's just the way it goes. And so I think that as you watch a Ben Maslanik mature as a human being, I think Coach Rittinger is going to continue to lean on him as a leader, both vocal and visual. And so I think Pelham, they got a couple more years with Coach Rittinger, and I think the Maslanik run will end after Ben. There's no more little Maslaniks making their way up. So again, great family who's done a lot for the town of Pelham on the youth program, wrestling. Paul Maslanik, their dad, he did a lot of work to grow that program and keep things moving. And, Coach Mike over there, he's doing a good job in keeping things going. Pelham's in good shape. And so eventually Coach Rittinger will move on. He's on the back nine for sure. Even he said it. And, it'll be interesting to see who comes in after him. But before that, I would tell you, enjoy the tough wrestling that you're going to get out of Pelham and Coach Rittinger run teams. All right. So good luck to Pelham. Nathan, I will leave you a message. We're ready for you to come ref when you're done college. End of message. All right. So now let's talk Campbell. It's a touchy one for me. It's a bit of a travesty. So it's generally a weak program right now. It's small, right? Small town. It's tough to recruit. And they got a decent feeder program underneath. Pat Aljo's and his wife are the staff. And they're doing good stuff. But the lone bright spot at the moment is the same one that's been there for a few years, and that's flight school coordinator Logan Allaire. He's coming into his senior year here, and I actually spoke with him and his father. We broke some bread last year. I had some questions regarding, what it was like to be over at a tiny school, not specifically Campbell, but just a tiny school with a small program. And, he expressed some frustrations, and I think they were justified, if I believe so. But, when I left that meeting with him early in the spring, right after wrestling season, there was, wasn't much desire to come back this year. And there was part of me that was like, yeah, I didn't blame him. The room that he's in, he's the king of it by a country mile. And he's not getting any better. And his toughest matches come in the state, or excuse me, in the meet of champions. And I think that that's a disservice to him. None of the Campbell kids are going to be winning much this year, so you might as well take them to a tournament where your bright spot can get the work he wants. And I don't know. I just think that we need to be a little more flexible on how some things are done. I know Coach Marin's over there. He's kind of running things all alone over there. But I'm really excited to watch Logan send some kids to flight school. He's good at it. I will just say, we like safe landings, and kid's a monster, right? And he's he is vicious on the mat, tough and aggressive. I'd invite you to talk to him off the mat. You know what it is? Sweet, good kid. Just likes wrestling, very competitive, jacked up, full of piss and vinegar. What's wrong with that? That's good stuff. And so if he were on any I really think that if he was on any really successful team, that he would get the recognition and the acknowledgement that he deserves. And I think that a room where there was some iron in there for him would go a long way towards his end of season goals. So either way, Logan, I'm happy you're back in the cockpit. Flight school simulator is loading, and we'll see you on the mast, my man. All right, let's go Conval. So they cruise into the year after losing only 2 seniors. They're stuffed with some seniors this year. Small town USA, small talent pool, spreads out to all the sports. So it takes a true force to build a team in a small town, and Conval remains on the cusp of getting over the hump to that upper echelon, right? Each year, a little bit more, a little bit more. But here's what I tell you. Every year, that Conval team are, I feel like saying polite takes away from the fact that they also wrestle tough, right? They're not the upper echelon of the wrestling, but they're the upper echelon of how they carry themselves. They're good kids. They care about other kids. My favorite thing to hear with new wrestlers, hey, good game. Wrestling is anything but a game. But when you hear that, you just know you're dealing with somebody who's new to the sport. And, Conval's got some young bucks. And you hear that, and you're just like, man, these kids, they get up, they have fun, they're smiling, they don't take it too serious. And some of our more experienced kids, they may be able to take some away from that. Enjoy the sport and compete, not just compete. Okay. So, what do we got here? We'll call this our independent section. So if the brave Jackson Molier, sorry, sir, if he returns, Dover's in the house for the team. If Nolan Lindstad out of Hopkinton returns, Hopkinton's in the house. Carson Imperio of Oyster River and Derek Peretti, St. Thomas. Programs. Those are 4 independents. Listen, imagine you just have to attach to another team because there's just not enough kids brave enough to do it at your school. You're hopping on a bus, you're wearing a different uniform. That sucks. So what? These kids don't care. Jackson, Carson, Peretti, those kids, they don't care. They just want to get on the mat and wrestle. And so kudos to you, gentlemen, for getting out there and chasing your dream, whatever that is, regardless of whether you have the tools for your dream right at your foot or you got to keep moving. So our independents are in the house. I look forward to seeing you guys upset some people through the year. And now, talk about growth. Prospect Mountain. They rocked 3 freshmen last season. So here's hoping their return along with a few other competitors, right? It's a growth spurt, right? Underneath, got a feed up top. So Prospect Mountain heading in the right direction. Kingswood and Kearsarge, they dropped 2 and 3 seniors respectively, loaded with sophomores, complemented with nice senior and junior mix, learning some leadership, right? Kingswood and Kearsarge, just putting the work in, staying steady, and always trying to just keep jumping up. I think oftentimes people underestimate what it's like when you have a smaller talent pool to select from. If you got a class, when I went to high school, my class graduated 1,000. Just my class, right? That was national before there was 2 splits. And so, you see schools like Manchester, there's 3 schools in the city. Even though it's a pretty good sized city, you split that up to 3 schools, right? And so you get teams like, Dover, St. Thomas, Oyster River, Kingswood, Kearsarge. They're smaller towns. And so take some time for them to rebuild. And what I can tell you is about Kingswood and Kearsarge, just good kids, man, out there competing hard. Don't take it too serious. Like to win. Don't lose too much when they lose. So, and right next door to those guys, Newport. They continue to hang tough with a small squad of toughies led by incoming junior Blake Ploss, right? This young man, fun to watch. Hopefully, he got some off-season work in where he's really challenged and he's ready to win the big ones he wants. He's one of those kids. He's in a division where he doesn't come across a bunch of tough matches. Um, who knows what it'll look like this year, but what I can tell you is this again, Mr. Ploss is one of those wrestlers. He's not trying to ruin any kid's day. He knows he's better than a lot of the kids that he wrestles. You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't try to embarrass him. He's not trying to spladle him. He's not trying to bar him like crazy and ruin him. He's nice to him ish. He wrestles him. He respects him as wrestlers, but he does his job. He gets off the mat and he's nice to these kids and keeps those kids around. So Newport, got a good leader right there. Just need some numbers to kind of back him up. Yeah, the Raymond Rams. Who knows what's up with them? Because they got a new coach in Steve Shea. The Robinson clan has officially moved on as Coach Jay and son Hayden, who graduated last year, are now departed from the program. And so there hasn't been a Robinson around or absent for a long time. Jay's been on the scene doing a lot of work in Derry and then into Raymond. And so it's going to be good to see what Coach Shea can do this year. And the Rams, Robinson did a good job, right? Getting this foundation set. So let's see if Coach Shea can just keep that momentum going, get some kids in there and keep building that talent pool. All right. Last but not least, Winnisquam Regional, where Coach Osmer is down one son, Henry, who will be showing up on the scene as a referee this season while handling business in college. And so quick pause on Winnisquam. Well, Henry Osmer last year, he was the winner of the NHWA Sportsmanship Award. And what I got to tell you is well deserved. And what an amazing young man. He's already in the apprentice program. He's already been on the mat, walks around. He's going to be the one that you're going to see in some years and a few of our other apprentices. They're the future of officiating and all that other stuff. And so we're in good hands. And so thank you, Coach Osmer, for sending him our way. And thank you, more importantly, for making such an amazing young man with the right value system, right priorities, and the willingness to be in service to his community. Now, to Winnisquam. Again, just out there the other day, bunch of great kids. They're stacked with some seniors and juniors. Sophomore class isn't bad either. You got Cormier's out there. He's always a firecracker, full of it. Piss and vinegar, that is. He gets fired up. Winnisquam always stays in the mix. It's going to be good to watch, the next iteration. Sans Henry, who's been around the team for a long time, and with the maturity he had to step into that leadership role very early. And so I'd say that Winnisquam is doing exactly what Winnisquam always does, and that is Coach Osmer making good kids, teaching them some good wrestling, keeping them competitive and where they're at, and most importantly, focusing on what the athletic experience is about in high school. And I will say Coach Osmer is a huge fan of three-sport athletes. So that's the 1, 2, 3 rundown, best I could do. I know I'm running really long here, but I've been very quiet for a long time since the end of Ben's Den. I'm ready to get going this year. I'm going to do my best again to try to get some episodes out when Wednesday duels and Saturday. I got a very busy year reffing this year. As you know, I've mentioned it a bunch of times. We're down a bunch of refs, so I got some very busy weeks. Couple of oddities before we sign off here. So Lowell is Friday 12/20 and 12/21, which conflicts with a bunch of New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont tournaments. So should be interesting to see, who goes, who doesn't go. I know this year I will not be at Lowell. I will be in Hollis Brookline, support New Hampshire wrestling. I think there's a bunch of New Hampshire teams that will probably avoid Lowell this year. And I think there was still a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths about, just the time of departure from last year's day one. I think 12:30 in the morning is a bit long. So Lowell's then, it is what it is. Either way, it's going to be a great season. We got a long ride ahead of us, right? All of us got some work to do. I want to reiterate, let us do our best to behave ourselves. All of us. Let us do our best to keep things in perspective. Let us do our best to remember why we want our kids to be athletes on this level, to remember the benefits of being an athlete on this level. And I think it's very, very important to remember that out of all the, I get a lot of positive feedback from the wrestling community about things that are happening, um, things that I do, and make no mistake about it, I very much appreciate all of that. And what I can tell you is this, is that not one of you has ever asked me what my record was in high school. Not one of you has asked me, are you a state champ, a New England champ? Did you ever wrestle? Not one of you. Because really, none of it is important. What's important to you when it comes to me, I found out is hey, thank you for being nice to my son or my daughter. Thank you for being a positive voice to this or that. And for those of you that don't know me, it's been a work in progress to get here. If many of you met me a long time ago, specifically in high school and in my earlier life, it's a journey for a man to find that maturity to be able to be an example for other young men. And I treasure the fact that I am in a position to be able to do that, coming through such a long journey. And I think that's why I'm extra sensitive to the fact that um, none of this matters, right? Like as far as like kids that are good, like who want to compete, who want to be their best, those kids rise. The cream always rises to the top. And because we're so focused on the cream, we're forgetting that, most of the pot stays in the average section. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being average on the scale. There's something wrong with being average in effort. There's something being average with expectations of oneself. And so I guess I would just say with this that either way, this year is going to be a great season of wrestling. I just invite us all to maybe take a half a step back and get back to enjoying what it is and having less of the episodes that we all dislike, and focus on generating some amazing human beings that, we all hear all the time, these kids today, I'm just not one of those people. It's not these kids, it's these adults that are creating these kids. And so if we got a problem with the kids, then we need to do better as parents. And as parents, not just the ones that have them, I'm talking about the community. It takes a village. When you see other kids doing things wrong, we got to be able to check kids on that because their parents aren't going to always be around them, but it's up to us to be able to hold them accountable. Speaking to children as if they're actually human beings versus just workhorses who are supposed to bring home medals. And I'm sure any of the coaches out there would open up the mat for any parent who's never wrestled and let you get on the mat. Well, let's say like a Matt Smith throws in double boots and works you over with your kid 2 feet away yelling at you, get up, you're not trying. Those are not the things that motivate warriors. And that's exactly what we're creating is these humble, honorable warriors, right? And if I always think long term, like I use athletics as a way, as a an analogy for a lot of things, right? Like, so if I got a kid who's a wrestler and he's willing to bend the rules to get a medal, when that kid becomes a soldier and he's at war, will he bend the rules there too? No, you know, we're prone to make our own mistakes enough on our own. We don't need encouragement for it, and we need more accountability for it. And so, with that being said, I can tell you this. I'm going into my 8th year of Ben's Den. The first ever episode was I don't know, like a 40-minute interview with former coach Barry Chuligan over there at Timberlane. And it's had a few different iterations as we go through the last 8 years. But I just remember, much like a lot of wrestling careers, 8 years ago, nobody really cared about it. Nobody was really watching about it. Based on the feedback, some people are watching it now and they appreciate it. And so I humbly say thank you for your support. And I look forward to seeing who the next person is to take over the journey of promoting wrestling and providing similar content to Ben's Den. And I couldn't be more proud to be part of this community and the support that I've received from the people that I've come in contact with, and even those that I don't even know, and they provide support to me in somehow, some way. And I just feel that if that was how we just did the whole community, we wouldn't have any problems, man. We'd be rocking out amazing human beings. And so I'm looking forward to a great 3 months with you guys. I'll make a lot of mistakes, I'm sure, along the way. I'll get some names wrong. I'll get some stats wrong. And I'm sure you guys will let me know about it. No, nothing is ever personal. I'm just an observationist. And I'm also an efficiency chaser. And I love greatness. I don't know if I've ever hit it, but I'm always going to try to chase it. And so I hope you'll do the same. And as always, see you on the mats.